Hey everybody, I'm your host, John Myers, live from Stillwater, Oklahoma. We have got a great show tonight. It's John Myers. Hey everybody. Gotta have my notes. It's John Myers from the Kicker UnMasked studios. Gotta have my notes. Alternator. Hey everybody. We have fun. Hey everybody. Hit like and subscribe. Right here, right now. It's John Myers. We like to give stuff away. Alternator. Post some more pictures. We got to thank Steve and Becky live from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Don't forget Texas Roadhouse right here, right now. Hey everybody. Don't forget right here, right now. We have got a great show tonight. Hey everybody. Had a great dinner tonight. It's John Myers. Right here, right now. Had a great dinner tonight. So, hey everybody. So, housekeeping. Had a great dinner tonight. So, alternator. Housekeeping. Housekeeping. 7:30 on Tuesday night. Housekeeping. From the Kicker UnMasked studios. Housekeeping. Right here, right now. Hey everybody. So, it's John Myers. Hey everybody. It's John Myers from the Kicker UnMasked studios. Hey everybody. From the Kicker UnMasked studios. It's John Myers. Right here, right now. We have got a great show tonight. Hey everybody. We have got a great show tonight. It's John Myers. Hey everybody.
Right here.
Lewis. Good morning, good evening, good night, ladies and gentlemen. I'm laughing at a comment from Lewis. Lewis, you're cracking me up. I got to be focused because I got to be professional on the show. This is the first show of 2023. My Lord, we made it. Woohoo! 2022 rearview mirror, 2023 in the front windshield. So tonight we're going to do a show with Jacob. We're bringing Jacob back as a regular on the show because you guys love him. I love him, and he's really good at what he does. So we're going to bring him in. We're going to talk about KS tweeters, KS mid-ranges, KS speaker component systems, kind of like a deep dive unboxing. We're also going to do Street Series tweeters. We're going to show you how to redo the diaphragms in case you toast them on the weekend. You can replace the diaphragms. We're going to walk you through that. Tonight, of course, we got Bill Frog working the social. We've got Ernie working the keyboard magic back there. And, of course, JW keeping the whole thing running forward. So that's the crew. We'll be back in just a few minutes, seconds. What? Did I fade in and out? Was that me? Was I blacking out? Am I that old? We'll be right back. This time we'll be right back. We'll be right back.
It's been a long road since the original Kicker christened that first pickup truck. It kicked off a car audio renaissance, and upgrading your music in a vehicle was a requirement. America's music machines became living loud over your passion, your emotion, your existence. Outdoors or on the open road, your sound is Kicker.
Yep, okay, we're back. All right, nice work. New year, new you. So, Jacob, we're going to talk about some KS speakers. We're going to do like an unboxing, a live unboxing.
Yeah, pretty much.
But first of all, let's talk a little bit about why KS speakers. So, if you don't mind, I'll take this part of it.
Go for it.
So, hey, Ernie, can you pull up my screen? I want to talk about KS speakers. I want to show some visuals before we unbox them. A couple of key things to keep in mind. First of all, most important, is that these are Mr. Irby's signature sound. So all of our speakers, as we've talked about many times, all of our speakers have to be auditioned and approved by Mr. Steve Irby before we can actually sell them to you, the public. And so all of our speakers will have that Mr. Irby, that kicker signature sound. Now, that is a combination of many, many years of live performances and in-car music listening and everything in between. And how we do that is by specifying the way the crossovers are designed and built, the kinds of tweeters we're using, the materials, the tuning of those tweeters, and of course mid-range drivers, and bringing it all together as a package. Now, as you step up in our line, you have our DS speakers, our CS or KS or QS. As you work your way up in the line, you're getting different benefits, different performance, different features, different power handling. But in general, if you listen to all of our speakers back to back, you're going to hear that Steve Irby kicker signature sound for consistency. So in the KS line, we're using all silk dome tweeters. And the reason we use silk is that silk has a very smooth, transparent output. Even when you push them hard, even if you begin to clip the signal, they're still going to sound pretty smooth right up until the ragged edge. So that's really nice for low listening as well as high output listening levels. And then, of course, we're using polypropylene mid-range drivers, and we've got the Santoprene rubber surround. Santoprene is a manufactured rubber surround. It's very consistent, good sound quality, handles the cone, reduces audible distortion, even under high output, so deep bass response. So these are some of the basic aspects of these speakers. You'll also notice that they're quite shallow, and the reason we want them shallow is no matter how good a speaker sounds, if it doesn't fit, you're not going to put it in your car, your truck, your Jeep, whatever. So they've got to fit in applications where you actually need them to fit. That's why these are going to be shallow. And they work in 90+% of vehicles on the road today. So it's a very simple fit. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, which of course a lot of our audience are do-it-yourselfers, these are easy installation. If you take a look at the backside here, we've got right here, I don't know if you can see that in your screen or not, but right there, these are the crossover components for the high pass. We use a 12 dB high pass on the tweeter. Now what that means is we are reducing the output to the tweeter by 12 decibels per octave so that we can protect the tweeter, but also it helps the tweeter to sound really nice at low and high volumes because it's not trying to play frequencies it's not designed to play. And Jacob's going to jump into that a little bit deeper when we start unboxing these. But I wanted to give you a general overview of why the KS speakers, where they fit in our line. They're sort of in our upper mid line, and just a great sounding speaker at a fair price. So Jacob, enough of me talking. Let's start with the KS 6 3/4 inch.
Perfect. So these are basically straight out of inventory. We just placed an order for these earlier today, and we're just going to unbox them and kind of show you guys what's inside, what all it comes with. So bear with me here just for a second. Sometimes these can be tricky to get open.
But you won't cut your fingers off like Amazon packaging.
I can't guarantee that. This is live after all, and I do have a knife.
But if you start bleeding, we've got a fish tank to douse
just
the blood.
Clean it off in there. Oh. All right, so I dropped the screws, but it does come with screws and these little
Let me get that for you.
spider clip, like L bracket things. You guys can see here. Just to mount the speakers and give you a few more options if maybe you don't have a screw hole or some sheet metal that you maybe don't want to screw directly in. There's an existing hole. You can kind of pinch that spider clip around it and run the screw through it.
I had to do that on my very first install. I had a 1983 Nissan Sentra with 5 1/4 inch dual cone speakers. Yeah, that was fantastic sounding.
It's interesting.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. So these are the KSC 6.5s, and they come with these adapter brackets. Now they're kind of similar to what you guys are going to see for adapter brackets across the market.
Metra,
Scotia. They've got little tabs that you can break off if they're too big to fit in the location you need, or maybe you don't need those holes, you can just break them off. You can also break off these little interior tabs in case your speaker doesn't fit in the magnet, like say if you're using like a 6 3/4 or something and you need to break those off, you can. So yeah, we've got these nifty lightweight brackets. They fit like most of your late model GM trucks and vehicles. They'll fit most of your Ford sedans, the newer Ford sedans, like 14 and up Fiestas and things like that. And then some of the other little accessories we've got are some dampening material with an adhesive on the back. And then it comes with your wires and butt connectors. So these are the exact size wires you need to connect to the backside of the speaker. And then the butt connectors will allow you to splice these into your factory wiring. So you don't need to purchase any different types of connectors to hook these up. It all comes in the box.
So if you're going with a modestly powered system and you're not going to upgrade all the speaker wire, this simply connects to what's already in the car.
Exactly.
Very nice.
Yeah, even like moderately amplified systems, I use these with like key 200.4s, 50 watts RMS is no problem for that.
Excellent.
And then inside of the other bag, what we've got here is the speaker itself. So here it is. Let's see if this close-up's working. Yeah, cool.
Don't shake.
No, I'm kidding. So here's the speaker, and then here's the backside, and you can see the crossover on the side of it too here. It's very shallow, like Aaron was saying. And then you've got the mesh grill here too, which I think is really cool. I like how these look. And that's what comes in the box with these.
That tweeter is a 3/4 inch. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
3/4 inch silk dome, as I was mentioning. And when you go up to the 6x9, you actually get 2 or a 3-way, and then the tweeter gets a little bit larger. This tweeter is a good size for most applications. And when you do step up to a component system, you actually get a larger tweeter. But we'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. One thing I wanted to mention is that if you're doing an install and you don't need these, hang on to them, because you never know when you might need them. Jacob and I were in Colorado last fall touring a bunch of stores out there, and there are boxes and boxes of these leftover brackets in install bays across Colorado. And man, sometimes you run into a situation where you're selling a non-kicker speaker or you're installing a non-kicker speaker and you need something like this. It's nice to have these. And in fact, Jacob stumbled across an install bay up in Fort Collins. We're in Fort Collins. And the installer had fabricated some really nice door panels. He had fabricated them, but it took him, how long did it take him?
He said it took him an hour to make all of the brackets that he needed to make for the truck. So if he had used these, they would have saved him quite a bit of time.
Yeah. So it's really nice to have these built into the system. So, okay, so there's the component, or excuse me, the coax. Let me take that for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give you you get the fun part. I'll do the repackaging. Hey, by the way, I was thinking earlier, maybe someone might like to win something extra special tonight. Something extra special. So
maybe something red and
yeah. So I'll put these away nicely, just so you can see that they're going back in there properly.
Yeah, cool. All right, so next we have the 6 3/4 component set. These are going to be a little bit different than what we just unboxed. It's going to have a lot of the same stuff in the package, but also a lot of different stuff.
Same but different?
Same but different. Yeah, you know how it goes. So this actually comes with 2 different boxes inside. You've got your little information card, and let me go ahead and get this out of here too. All right, so inside of this box, what you're going to have are all of your little accessories that come with the component set, like your crossover, your wires, your barrel connectors, things like that, some of what we saw in the other box as well, but a lot more also. So I don't know if you guys can see inside of this, just the sheer amount of stuff that comes in this first box.
It's like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, except, well, I mean, it's exactly like a box of chocolates, because some of the chocolates you don't eat, some of the stuff you won't use.
Some of them are nasty.
Yeah. So again, you've got those little sticky adhesive pads, so maybe if your speaker's mounted directly up against a piece of metal, you have just enough clearance, you can put that on the back and it'll keep the magnet from buzzing against it.
Nice.
So you've got your crossovers, which have the speaker outputs already attached to it. So you only have to splice the inputs to one side of the crossover and then plug in the other end straight to the speaker. Unless you need to extend it, which you might have to, maybe you can't or won't fit these close to the speaker. That's always a possibility.
Can you unwrap that real quick? Let's take a question.
Yeah.
I see we got a couple questions waiting for us. What's the first question? Is anybody back there? Okay. What does the S stand for in KS? What's the S? Speaker.
Speaker?
Speaker. Kicker, speaker. KS. Kicker, speaker. Yep, that's it. Real simple. Thanks, Larry. Great question. Whew, anything tougher? Here we go. Andy. Hello, Andy. Future question. Will there be any mounts available or included for the Street Series 7-inch speakers? I believe a 6x9 mount could be fabricated for the 7-inch and bolt to any 6x9 location. I don't know. At this point, there's no plans to do anything like that, but it is an interesting idea. So somebody back there will make note of that, and of course we'll pass that along. Thanks, Andy, for a great question. Now I wanted to talk about this crossover a little bit. So, story, in a former life, I used to work for Polk Audio. And Polk Audio is really big in home theater, car audio, and general surround sound systems, things of that nature. And we had a series called a Momo component system. Momo is an Italian design house, and they do a lot of really fancy stuff for cars. And so we teamed up with them to do these Momo series speakers, really nice speakers. And so I was touring a shop, I forget where it was, doesn't really matter. And a guy that worked in the shop came up to me, he was really excited. He said, hey, I've got these new Momo speakers in my pickup, but they just don't sound the way I expected them to. So I hopped in his truck and I listened to it, and I thought, yeah, actually they don't really sound the way I expected them to either. So we talked a little bit about the system and checked out the amplifier, checked the crossovers, checked the equalizer. Pretty much everything looked the way that it should have been. And I said, hey, where did you mount the passive crossovers? So he opened up the little kind of hidden hatch where he'd put the crossovers, and I said, well, those are MTX crossovers. Where are the Polk Momo crossovers? Oh, well, these already were in there and they fit nicely, so I just wired up the Polk speakers to these crossovers from MTX. Well, my gosh, that's a mismatch. The crossover is critical to the performance of the speaker. So if you've got a great tweeter, great mid-range, and the wrong crossover, you're going to have incorrect match, you're going to have poor performance. So I told the guy, I'm sorry, I mean, there's nothing wrong with those MTX crossovers, but they're not designed to work with this component system. And so, of course, he replaced them. He called me later, maybe a week or so later, he said, you're right, they sound fantastic. It was just the crossover mismatch. So the reason I bring this up is because crossover design is critical to the performance of the speakers. And I want us to understand that. Now these crossovers, these are pretty nice crossovers. I mean, you look, physically it's large, which is kind of a pain in the butt if you're trying to custom install it and you want to hide them away. If you want to show them off, it's nice to have this beautiful crossover. But something that's really special about these, all of this crossover is actually just for the tweeter. Just for the tweeter. Now this is an interesting point. I was talking to Alan, who's one of our acoustic engineers, and I said, Alan, why is this just for the tweeter? What's up with the mid-range? And he said, Aaron, I have designed that mid-range driver so that it naturally rolls off without any peaks, without any dips, and perfectly blends with the tweeter without the need for a passive crossover on it. That's fantastic. So basically that mid-range driver is running wide open, and this is all just for the tweeter. So the tweeter has a 12 dB high pass. There's also some pads on here, some resistors. Let's say that you mount the tweeter up high and it's aimed right at the glass in the windshield. It can get a bit screechy, so you can actually turn the tweeter output down relative to the mid-range. So we've got 3 adjustments here. We've got a 0, +3, and a +6 dB. So you've got basically 6 dB of adjustment to adjust that tweeter separate from mid-range. Now, if you coax mount these, which he's going to get to in a minute, sorry I'm taking all your thunder.
No, you're good.
If you coax mount the tweeter on the mid-range, you may want to bring the output up relative to the mid-range because that tweeter's down low in the door in most applications. So that's why we've got that tweeter adjustment on there. Now, trivia question. If this crossover has a +3 and a +6 dB setting, does it have to be a powered crossover? Anybody got any answers for me? Trivia question. If this crossover has got +3 and +6 dB settings, is it an active crossover? The answer is no. It's actually a passive crossover. So in reality, the plus 6 dB is actually 0. When you go to the plus 3 dB, it's actually minus 3 dB. And when you go to the 0, that's actually minus 6 dB. And I know that's confusing, but that's marketing. In reality, these cut the output. They do not boost the output. So just a little funny thing there. So Jacob, back to your thunderstorm. Go ahead.
Oh, you're all right. So if you guys can see inside of here, I don't know how familiar most of you guys are with crossover construction, but this is going to be a 12 dB crossover. It's got a cap and a coil inside, where 6 dB would just be a cap. And then it also has those little LEDs inside that let you know when you're clipping the outputs of the speaker. So those lights will actually come on, and I've had questions about that in tech support. Like,
Yes.
hey, are these lights, why is my crossover lighting up? And it's like, man, you're really clipping your signal.
That's a good thing. Explain why that
Oh, Ernie is talking from behind the camera. So Ernie is wondering, so why is the light bulb lighting up? So basically the light bulb is reacting to DC, or direct current. So when the amplifier is clipped, it's putting out direct current. It's no longer a nice smooth sine wave. It's now clipped, bing, 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 bing. So the light bulb is taking that DC and turning it into light and heat rather than heating up the voice coil. So it's a great protection circuit for that tweeter. Thanks, Ernie. Good question.
Yep, so next we're moving on to some of the other hardware that comes in the box of chocolates. So we've got surface mount cups, flush and angle mount, and then we also have these really cool swiveling tweeter pods that come in the package as well. So I don't know if you guys can see that really. Yeah, there we go. So these actually clock, and you can angle them whatever direction you want. And in one of my vehicles, I put these in the pillar and aimed them at my face, so they work awesome.
It's nice when you've got that flexibility, because in your driving position, if you're sitting here in the driver position and this tweeter's aimed right at you and across the dash, with that flexibility, you can properly aim that tweeter for better staging and imaging. So that surface mount ball is really nice way to mount that tweeter.
And if you don't want to mount them flush, or if you don't want to mount them using the tweeter pod, you can mount them coaxially on these as well. And it's a little bit complicated the way that it works, but essentially you'll use a tweeter post, and then there's a cup that you can install as well. And the tweeter comes in the box as well, and then you can actually swivel the tweeter up to 12 degrees when it's coaxially mounted in the speaker. So say you have your speaker in your doors, or you have them in the kick panels, and you want an on-axis response, you can actually turn that tweeter just a little bit so that it aims a little bit closer to your face. It's really cool, something that is new that we introduced to the KX components for this year, or for this model year of product anyway.
So what Jacob's talking about is, since I'm going to undo these, and
here, I'll give you the,
yeah,
there's that.
So I won't do the complete thing, because you don't want to be here till 4 in the morning.
Yeah, you got to put like 6 pieces together.
Yeah, it's a little, well, like Jacob said, it's a little complicated, but it's an engineering marvel. And so essentially you've got this tweeter cup that, I'm not going to use all the pieces, but it goes in like that. And then there's another post that I'm missing here, but I want you to get the idea. Why are you laughing at me?
It's funny.
Am I working too hard? Is that the problem here? Okay, so then you'll notice that the tweeter leads run right through the center of the pole piece, and then that tweeter can be angled, as Jacob was saying. So if the speaker's in the door like this, you can angle that tweeter to get your better on-axis response. As you're probably aware, the higher the frequency, the more directional it is, or the more beamy. So if we can aim that tweeter up towards your ears, we can get much better frequency response from a door-mounted speaker. And that's one of the benefits of going with these KS components, coaxially mounted, so that you can get that tweeter right in phase acoustically with that mid-range driver and still get that output aimed up towards your ears. And maybe you've got a classic car, or just a car that doesn't have a tweeter location at all, and you don't want to cut something, you don't want to change that door at all, you can just simply mount this high-quality speaker coaxially. So it's a great way to upgrade your system without cutting any additional holes.
And additionally in the box, we have those same adapter brackets that I showed you from the 6.5-inch coaxial set. It's the same bracket. So again, you can pull off the tabs and make the 6.75-inch speakers fit in them, or cut off any extra tabs you don't need to get it to fit in the vehicle. Something cool about the components is that they also come with grill putty. Now, what is grill putty? Who uses grill putty? Well, basically, you can put it inside of the grill where it meets the ring that the actual mesh mounts to, and it'll keep it from rattling, or buzzing, making extra sounds. And then something else I want to point out is that the components come with mounting templates inside of this box. So if you're doing some sort of custom work, you need to know the cutout, and you don't want to do the legwork to find it on our website, we have the templates right here in the box. So pretty handy. Again, we've got our screws and our barrel connectors, and I think I covered everything that comes in the box. Oh, and you actually get a couple of zip ties as well to help tie up those crossover wires, so you don't have a little spider web of wires. Yeah, what's up? Were you trying to...
No, I was just gonna show that there's one way to tie up that crossover, as you were saying, is that there's little bitty holes through the back of the crossover there. So you could zip tie it, as you were saying, you could zip tie it. Now, we don't want this inside the door because we don't want to interfere with the door mechanism, with the window going up and down, the door locks and all that. Or
water getting to it inside the door if your seals are leaky or something.
That never happens, right?
Yeah, no, my car's perfect.
So that's what those are for on the back of that. And again, this is primarily, well, it's only for the tweeter. So you want to make sure you've got this in a position where it's easy to get to the tweeter. And so that's all in the packaging there. And oh my gosh, we don't want to lose any of these pieces just in case somebody might want to, install these at some point.
Yeah,
so,
in case somebody gets a hold of them somehow.
Yeah, somebody out there in the audience might somehow get these someday. So we're going to put this back together as best we can. How about if I get these out of your way and then I give you the third and final box.
Let's do it.
Big cake box, right?
Yeah. So these are the newest piece of this product line. These are the KSS 269s. And this is actually a component set that comes with a 6x9 mid-range and a 2 3/4-inch middler. So for your trucks that have 6x9 in the door and a 2 3/4 in the dash, or maybe you've got a Chrysler vehicle that you need this for, or a Toyota, this will work perfectly for that. So again, we've got the goodie box of chocolates. Go ahead and pop that open.
I'm now hungry for chocolate.
So these are also going to come with adapter brackets for the 6x9 and for the 2 3/4. So most of the real estate inside of this box is taken up by the adapter brackets when you first open it. Because for a 6x9, they're a much bigger speaker. They're going to need a bigger adapter bracket, right? So here's what we have for that. It's pretty simple. There's not as many tabs to break off of this one, or as many mounting locations that it'll have to fit that you need to modify it for, basically. And then we also have what look like some spacers here, some thin spacers. And then they also come with mounting templates as well. So if you need, again, you're doing custom work, you're making maybe building out a kick panel or something like that, and you need to know the hole size, you can totally use that template. So these are the crossovers for 2 3/4 and the 6x9. So they'll actually come with your barrel connectors inside as well, once again, and then they come tied up like this with kind of like a bread tie type thing. So
it's good to point out here that this crossover is much smaller, more compact, easier to hide in this install. And this was something that a lot of our dealers actually said to us, hey, we love that Chaos crossover, but sometimes we need something that's easier to hide, something that's faster to put in. And so that's why we have moved to that on this particular product. In addition, this product is really an OEM, original equipment manufacturing upgrade product. It's specifically designed to replace what came from the factory. because it fits in all those vehicles, specifically pickups that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why it's sort of really an OE replacement product.
And so it's worth noting also on these that you do need to use the crossovers on the 2 3/4. Otherwise, they'll play full range, and you might end up blowing them out because these are really small speakers with paper cones, and you just don't want them playing full range. It's not going to be good for them. But I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. They come in this little box right here. If I can dig it out of the plastic. Has a little plastic cover over the cone so that it doesn't get punctured. Again, it's paper, it's really delicate and really thin. So you take the cover off and then you can see the speaker itself right here. It doesn't have any caps on the speaker. That's why we need to use, again, the crossover that comes in the box. And what's cool about these is the adapter brackets that come with them.
Oh,
so,
these are awesome.
Yeah, so you've got 3 different mounting styles that are included in the box. You've got one for Chrysler, one for Toyota, one for GM. They'll fit most of your vehicles on the road. But the way that they work is it comes in 2 pieces, and then you take the bottom piece, which it's kind of flanged or pushed in, I guess, drop your speaker inside of it, and make sure it sits in there, like so. And then you take the top piece and just clamshell it over the speaker. And it kind of snaps in. You can feel it when it's lodged in place, and you just line up the holes, and then you can mount it in your dash. And it's really easy, super easy to change out, really helpful to have for these.
You mentioned, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, you mentioned that it's a paper cone, and in the mid-range driver, it's a polypropylene cone. And this is an interesting story about the development of these, because I asked the engineers, I said, so why did we go with paper on this? Because I had seen the prototypes, and they were actually polypropylene. And what it came down to was the sound quality. The polypropylene in this size just didn't give us the high frequency range that we wanted, so we had to move to the paper, which is actually lighter than the poly, so it gave us the high frequency response that we needed without an actual separate tweeter. So that's why it is that paper cone versus the polypropylene. It's all about the sound quality. So there again, Mr. Ruby saying, no, I want it to sound perfect.
Yeah, it's got to sound a specific way. And otherwise in the box, again, we've got that sort of adhesive styrofoam material for the back of speaker magnets, and you got your screws, more barrel connectors, and then it has grill putty in this one as well. And then it shows you kind of how the adapter brackets work on the back of here. So if you get confused, you can just reference the little piece of paper that's included, and hopefully it'll straighten things out for you.
I've got an opinion poll that I'd like to run. So I want your opinion on this. And then after I ask you guys, I'll give you my opinion. If you're installing, let's say in this case, a 6x9 component system, but you're not adding a subwoofer, you're simply installing a 6x9 component system and you're using an amplifier. Do you or do you not use a high-pass filter on the 6x9 woofer? Do you or do you not use a high-pass filter on the 6x9 woofer? I want to get your opinion on that, so we'll come back to that question in a few minutes. And I want your opinion on that too, Jacob, because I've got a strong opinion on it, and then I'll tell you why, but I want to see what you guys think, because not everybody agrees with me on this. Do we have any questions? Yeah, let's throw up that question we've got there, Bill, please. "25 Hertz to Life. Hello, Happy New Year, buddy. Does Kicker provide heat shrink terminal female spade connectors for doors and boats? For doors and boats. Does Kicker provide heat shrink terminal female spade connectors?" Oh, Jacob, I don't know the answer to that.
Heat shrink?
Are they? I don't think they are.
No, they're not heat shrink, or they don't have heat shrink on them. However, they do have a little sort of rubber cover that goes over the terminals, and it kind of protects them. It's not heat shrink though, but I think what he's asking is maybe if we have some sort of marinized female spade connectors, and we don't offer any just like connectors like that with heat shrink on them.
Good question. Any other questions, Bill? No? Okay, that's it. Okay, so let's see, do we have anyone that answered my question? Let's see. I would say, Steve, the Canadian, fellow Canadian, I would say yes, you can get away with it. You want a full range. Oh, it just jumped. I'm sorry. Never mind. I can't see it now. It jumped away. So, Jacob, would you do a high-pass filter on a 6x9 component system in your own vehicle?
Yeah, I would.
Why?
I just, I think after messing around with it for long enough, I just prefer the way that it sounds. I don't want all of that low frequency information coming from my doors, and at higher, I listen to my music really loud.
Yes, he does.
So at higher listening volumes, it kind of tends to muddy up what I'm getting from the vocals and things like that. So yeah, I would probably cross it over at like maybe a little bit lower than a 6.5, maybe like 50 or 60 hertz, but at a 24 dB per octave. But yeah, I wouldn't run at full range.
High five. So one word answer, dubstep. Dubstep will attempt to shred a 6x9 should you turn it up even just a little bit. And like Jacob said, if your 6x9 is trying to reproduce ultra low frequencies as well as vocal range, it can't do both perfectly. So I myself would put a high pass filter about like you, about like 50, 60 hertz, 24 dB per octave. You want to use the highest order you can. A 24 dB octave filter reduces the upper frequencies at 24 decibels per octave, which is a very steep slope. So I would use a 24. Actually, our front row processor, which we don't offer anymore, had 48 dB per octave crossover slopes, really high slopes. So yes, I would always recommend a high pass filter, even with or without a added subwoofer system, just for the clarity and the vocal range, but also so I'm not trying to shred my 6x9s with some dubstep music or anything with heavy bass in it. So that's what I would say. Anybody got any thoughts on that? I don't see any specific feedback that I can read.
Chance has, he says he uses a DSP on his 4Runner with the Q-Class 6x9s, and now the cursor's covering it up.
Yeah, it's hard to read those there.
There we go.
Yeah, so yes, thank you. I totally agree. Always use a high-pass filter. So yeah, great. So I guess we did all of those. And as we alluded to with our really not so funny jokes, we're going to give away all three of these speaker systems tonight. So when you're entering to win the usual prize packages, you're also entering to win one of these three systems. So whoever wins first place, you get to choose which speaker system you want. So maybe you need the 6x9 component, or maybe you just need a coax. Your choice, whichever one you want. Second place winner gets the second choice. Third place winner takes whatever's left. So we are going to give these away. We will do our best to repackage them. I guarantee all the parts will be there, but it may not be as pretty as it was when Jacob first opened them.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
Someone's going to win these tonight. So we're going to run a short commercial. We're going to reset, and then we're going to do some tweeter diaphragm updates or replacements. So I'll be right back with us.
Reconing. Yep.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. So you'll notice we've reset the stage, and now we're going to walk you through the Street Series tweeter diaphragm replacement. Now, in reality, the Street Series are designed for huge output. We know that. But more importantly is the fact that they sound good while doing loud output. I think Jacob said it best. The reason you need the Street Series speakers is because if you've got boom and kicker bass, you need something to keep up with that thick bass. You need to be able to cut through that with some extreme mids and highs, and that's where these come into place. But just like the Chaos Series speakers, Mr. Irby has to love them before we can actually sell them. So these are going to give you true kicker sound quality, kicker signature sound, but at extreme SPL levels. Now we know that tweeters they're the most likely thing that are going to get toasted from extreme output because, well, frankly, they just can't handle as much abuse. Now we've got a great power range on these. The 3-inch handles up to 100 watts peak, 50 watts RMS. Now you don't have to use 50 watts. These are extreme high sensitivity, high output tweeters. So you could be running 25 watts to them and still get great output, but they will handle up to 50 watts RMS. But even at that, if you're clipping the output of your amplifier, you could damage the diaphragm. So Jacob, what do we do next?
Right, so let's say you've damaged your diaphragm, you were trying to run these loud to keep up with your subwoofers, and you toasted the coil in one of the speakers. That's not really a problem, assuming that you came prepared. So, so you can purchase the recone kits for the tweeters on our website, and they'll come in a little white box similar to this. And I'll show you what it looks like when you take it out. It comes in a little packaging so the diaphragm itself doesn't get damaged. Now, you do need to be kind of careful with it because it is a tweeter diaphragm. It's really delicate, but it's what it looks like. So you've got your spade connectors on both sides. You can see the coil right there in the diaphragm, and it's just a little, little delicate piece. But so the idea here is going to be the same for both of these products, but the execution is going to be a little bit different, just because of the way that the tweeters are designed. So on one, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second, on one speaker, the holes that you have to take, the bolts you have to take out are on the front side of the tweeter, on this guy.
1.5 inches.
Yeah, on the 1.5 inches, this is the ST4. You can see the 3 Allen head screws on the front side of it. Now on the ST3, you've got 3 Phillips head screws on the back side. So again, they're not Allen head like the other one, they're Phillips head, and they're on the back of the tweeter rather than on the front. But the idea is the same. You're gonna basically crack it open and replace the diaphragm inside. So let me just get all the extra stuff off of these guys here for a second, and then we'll get into the meat of it. So something really cool that I figured out is that you can use our amp tool to replace the diaphragm on both of these. So if you guys aren't aware, these amp tools give you all of the tools necessary to install and tune a kicker amplifier, and they also now give you all the tools to recone your ST tweeters.
Kicker.com?
Mm-hmm. So let me get out the right size Allen head for these guys, and then we'll just get going. So, wrong size.
We did practice this, I promise.
Yeah, I actually made a whole video of it.
We haven't released the video yet, but we have shot the video. We had a holiday or something in there, right?
Yeah, something like that. All right. So you just want to take out the 3 screws, and it's going to take a second.
How about if I start doing this one for you?
Yeah, that'd be great. Keep it up. Ernie, can you get the Jeopardy song playing in the background?
We didn't practice this part.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once you have all 3 of the screws out, I like to just keep a hold of the speaker with the hand that I'm holding it with, because when you start to take this thing apart, there are a lot of moving parts that you may not realize. So this top piece comes off, just like that, and then there's a little bullet, I guess is what you'd call it, on the inside as well, and then you can get out the diaphragm.
Ooh,
and as you can see, the shim just fell out. So if your speaker has a shim, it's going to be a little clear one like this, and when you put the new diaphragm in, you just want to make sure you put the shim back in place. But anyway, this is what the diaphragm that I took out looks like, and it looks just exactly the same as the other one. And then this is what the backside looks like in the tweeter. So you can see the gap where the coil rests and all of that good stuff. Now, when you're putting the new diaphragm in, something to keep in mind is that the 3 holes around the edge here will only line up one way. So the push pin terminals are keyed, and so it'll slide in one way or the other on the tweeter, but if you do it the wrong way, then your holes won't line up and you won't be able to get the bolts in. So I don't know if you can see on camera, I can reverse it, and then you can maybe see light through the holes there. But anyway, you just need to make sure you get the bolt holes lined up. And once you get the new diaphragm in, then you put your shim back where it was on the top here, which this one may already have a shim, but I'm going to put it there. You put your bullet back on.
The shim is an interesting thing. Not all of the ST tweeters have a shim. And I was asking one of the engineers, how come some of them have a shim and some don't? And he said, because the tolerances that we require are so tight, in some cases, the shim is necessary to maintain the tolerance. So when they're machining the parts, our tolerances sometimes exceed the capabilities of the machining process. And that's when the shim is used to keep the tolerances proper. Mm-hmm. So if you have a shim and you're replacing the diaphragm, use the shim. If for some reason you're replacing a diaphragm and the original doesn't have a shim, then don't worry about it. You don't need a shim because your tolerance was there without the shim. So just keep in mind, if you have a shim, you need a shim. If you don't have a shim, you don't need a shim. And
even if you lose your shim, it won't make an audible difference for the most part. So
yeah, a microphone.
So you drop the clear shim on the ground and it gets blown away in the wind. It won't make a huge difference if it's not there. You just want to put it there if you can.
Although if Mr. Irby's in town, he could tell the difference.
Yeah, he could definitely tell the difference. So yeah, I don't know how long that took me. Maybe a minute, 2 minutes, but the new diaphragm's in and this tweeter's ready to rock. So now we'll get started on the other one. And it looks like Aaron already got the screws out for me. So remember how I was talking about the screws are on the back side for this one? Just make sure they're all the way out.
I'm going to take a question while you work on that one.
Yeah, go for it.
Bill, can you throw up a question for us? Edward, good morning, good evening. Is Kicker planning on a 6.5 inch and 6x9 option for the ST Pro Audio series? At this time, no. However, that question has been asked several times. In fact, we were at SEMA. Yeah, it was at SEMA, and people were asking that question, and we just introduced them, and we were showing them off in the Bronco, and people were already asking the question, 6.5, 6x9, and currently the answer is no, but with enough demand, who knows what might happen in the future. So thank you for that question. So where are we at?
Well, so I got it apart, and again with this guy, there are a bunch of moving parts as well. So you've got the front piece where your flanges mount to mount that tweeter, and then you've got a bullet again, a little bit smaller though, and then the back piece, which is your motor structure, and then kind of a little piece that holds it all in place. But you want to make sure because the motor structure actually comes out on this one, so you want to make sure that you have it lined up on the back side however you want it to look cosmetically, because it kind of spins in there, and if you don't get it right, it'll look funky after you've reassembled the tweeter and you just won't be happy with it. So, but there's what the old diaphragm looks like. So that's out of there. You just take the new one and drop it in. And again, make sure your holes are lined up because it'll fit in one of two ways, and if you put it in backwards, you won't get the screws back in to line it back up or to hold it back together. So you can just drop it in like that, put your bullet back on, and then put your front trim piece back on. And this one's a little bit more tricky just because the bolt holes don't go all the way through, but you can look on the back side and you can see kind of the shiny part where that bolt hole bottoms out in there, and then you can just run your new screws in there and this one's ready to go too.
That's it.
So
simple.
It really doesn't take very long. And this is I don't know, my 5th or 6th time reconing one of these, so hopefully you won't have to recone them 6 times, but maybe if you're going to a lot of competitions. But anybody can do this. It's really easy and quick.
Larry, hey Larry. Any Loctite on those? Oh, Loctite.
Probably not.
Yeah, Loctite, for those of you who don't know, Loctite is a thread lock. It's kind of like a glue that you put on the threads. I would not suggest it because if you got to take it apart, you just increased your challenge dramatically.
Yeah.
So I would not suggest Loctite. Good question, thank you. We had another question. Can you throw up the other question, Bill? Lee, hello Lee. What would be a good weatherproof speaker for a houseboat? Houseboat, a weatherproof speaker. What do you think?
I would just suggest the KM65s or the KM8s. Either of those would be great choices. You can mount them free air, or you can put them in a small enclosure if you want, say for like tower enclosures or something of that nature. But yeah, those are just some good all-around marine speakers that are weatherproof and marinized. I would definitely suggest using those in a houseboat.
Also take a look at the KMXLs. They are new and they're shipping. They're available now. You can order them from our website or your local retail kicker partner. And the KMXL is for extreme output, high sound quality, fantastic speaker. They come in 8-inch round, 6.5-inch, and 6x9. And they are fantastic sounding speakers. So KM is great. If you want to go to the next level, KMXL is the next step up. So good question, thank you. All right, so we've re-diaphragmed 2 sets of tweeters. Now we're not giving these away. We're not ready to give these away, but we are going to give away the KS systems, the 6x9 component, 6 3/4 component, and the 6 3/4 coax, giving those away. So be sure to sign up. Oh, another question. Chance. Chance says, having the ability to let the consumers recone rebuild their speakers is a huge game changer in building a loyal brand following. Thank you. We appreciate that. That's really nice feedback. And as we said earlier, not only are they loud, they sound fantastic. But the reality is they're going to get damaged, so it's nice to be able to rebuild them. I agree with you. And much less expensive than replacing the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go ahead and recone these again so I can give Laura back her samples.
We had to borrow diaphragms from the acoustic engineers to put that together for you tonight. Let's see. Sorry, my computer went to sleep because I was talking so much. All right, so while Jacob puts those back together, we've got, oh wait, and we can't do your questions because you're, actually, can I ask you questions while you're rebuilding those?
Yeah,
so you can multitask?
Sure.
Okay.
I can try.
So we're going to do the challenging questions of the week, or of the 2 weeks, or whatever. Tech questions. Number 1, I pulled the bass knob out of my HS8. HS8 is the Hideaway 8-inch subwoofer. It's designed to fit beneath a seat in just about anything. Nice compact subwoofer. I pulled the bass knob out by accident. Now I have no output unless I pull the cable halfway out. What would the issue be?
So the way that bass knob works is it takes the audio signal and runs it out through that cable and through an attenuator, which is the bass knob, before it actually gets into the amplifier and gets amplified. So if you've pulled out the bass knob from your amp or from the Hideaway, it sounds like you shorted out the jack and damaged it. Oh. So the only way he's going to get sound is like he described, if he's pulling that knob halfway out of the unit. So long story short, the Hideaway needs to be repaired, unfortunately, but make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. So if it's not under warranty, we can still repair it. There's a nominal charge for it. Contact customer service and let them know the challenge you're having, and we can get you set up with either warranty repair, or if it's not under warranty, then we'll still repair it for you, just at a nominal charge. So awesome, thank you. Next question is, I want to get one of your 12-inch passive radiators and use it in conjunction with a competitor's 12-inch woofer. I can't imagine why, unless you already own the other woofer. That's the only excuse I'll accept. So you want to use our passive with someone else's 12-inch woofer. Can I do that? What if it doesn't sound great?
So you could do that theoretically. It's just going to take a little bit of hard work and modification on your end of things. So if you guys don't know, you can change the tuning frequency of a passive radiator enclosure by adjusting or changing the weight of the passive itself, which is going to change its resonant frequency. You can also change how it's going to sound by adjusting the volume of the box a little bit. So something that we did in tech support is we played around with adjusting the weight of the passive, and we used what is it called?
Modeling putty?
Yeah, like modeling putty, or like weather seal, that sticky stuff that you can use on your windows. And what was that, Ern?
Rope caulk.
Yeah, that.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
But yeah, you can play around with it and adjust the weight of it on the passive itself. And then once you found the amount of weight that you need to get it to sound good, you can come up with a more permanent mounting solution, like maybe running a bolt through it and putting some washers on the backside, or I don't know, however you want to make it look pretty and do that. But it can be done. It's just going to be hard.
Yeah, for me, I would just sell that competitor woofer, buy a Comp RT, and use that because that's perfectly designed for that.
Well, yeah,
woofer.
or you could use one of our woofers because it's made. We have like several specified box volumes on our website made specifically for those passives, and those enclosures sound really good.
There's actually a retail partner out in Hawaii, and he has been playing with passive radiators and kicker subwoofers for many years. In fact, he's part of the reason that we now offer the passive radiator as a separate piece, so you can design a custom box for it. Because he was actually taking apart our preloaded enclosures that had the passives, taking out the passive and using them in his own design. So he has mastered that. But is it easy? No. Can it be done? Yes. Okay, third question. I am replacing old speakers in a golf cart with the KM654, that's our Marine 6.5 inch speakers. Where they are going is not an enclosed space. It is open directly to the ground. Do they need to be in any type of enclosure?
If he's talking about the bottom of the magnet being open literally to the ground, then I would probably suggest some kind of enclosure, or at least a cover to keep, things from dirt, things from hitting the speaker. It does have a sealed motor structure, and like in a boat where you're mounting it inside the fiberglass, maybe some water getting to it won't be an issue, but it also depends how rough he's riding the golf cart. If he's going to be splashing mud underneath or dirt, water, whatever, constantly, in his case, I'd probably suggest an enclosure. But they will operate free air. You just don't want to expose them to that kind of rough and tumble environment. Yeah. So
good.
At least intentionally.
If it's a trailer queen, it's fine. If it's used in the real world, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great way to put it.
All right, now let's look at some fail pics. This is always one of the fun parts. We're going to look at some pictures that have been sent to us by various friends, Andy, across the World Wide Web universe. We want to show you some pictures of some funny things that people have done. Wait, let me get to the right folder here. Now, if you see your install in these failed pics, please don't take personal offense. We're not trying to make fun of anybody. We're just trying to enjoy some creativity on some installs.
We've all done it, I promise. I'll show you guys some of my fails sometimes if I remember.
That would be fun.
Oh, man.
I'll remind you, don't worry. Okay, so let's pull this up. So take a look at this. So yes, this industrious gentleman replaced the headrests on his vehicle with speaker boxes. I think those are Pioneer four-way, I'm going to use air quotes, four-way speakers. And, very ingenious. I'm sure they sound loud. If you get into a collision, an accident, probably not the safest thing to do, but heck, rock on, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to say.
Not much more to say that. Okay. All right, next fail. So take a look at this. This is definitely a vintage kicker comp series, and it looks as though right here they have put 6 screws through what was probably a torn surround.
Yeah, it was a torn surround. Now it's secured again, Aaron. It's fixed.
I fixed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's ingenious. Can't vouch for the sound quality.
So, yeah, and it almost looks like those screws have been there for a while because they're rusty on top. So I mean, maybe it worked. Maybe
Bang
we
on.
just
All right. Okay, here's the third and final failure. Is it super glue? Is it strip putty? I don't know what that stuff is. And then the center cap, look at that. It looks like they tried to add some acoustic damping, not dampening, damping, acoustic damping to that subwoofer to lower the resonant frequency.
Maybe they misunderstood what damping material was for.
Yeah. So, and it looks like OFF. I don't know what the rest of what it said was, but something off. And I don't think they mean the deep-powered bug relief.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I think this subwoofer probably should just be retired and replaced with something maybe, I don't know, maybe a newer competition series subwoofer. But
yeah.
So there's 3 failures. And now let's look at some cool installs. Now, I hope this gentleman isn't watching tonight because I completely forgot to take down his name. But when we were in Las Vegas at SEMA, a gentleman came up to me and he said, hey, I love your HS10s. I've got 4 HS10s. Pull up this picture, please. 4 HS10s in his Corvette. Check this out. 4 HS10s in the back of this Corvette. So, of course, this thing hammers. I mean, 4 10s, that is a lot of output. And you've got the cabin gain of a hatchback. So I bet the thing just slams.
Not only that, that's a really clean installation. I don't see any wires. I don't see any evidence of anything except the enclosures. It looks awesome.
I asked him, I said, so did you put in 4 independent gain controls or what did you do? He said, no, I used a not to be named line driver. So basically he took the sub signal and routed it through a line driver so that he could control all 4 of those subwoofers independently with 1 bass knob. You can't do that with our bass knob. You'd have to run, what he did was a separate line driver gain adjustment. This is just a picture of his shop. You can see he's working with a very small space right there, but he's doing some really clean work.
Look at all that kicker.
Yeah, definitely some kicker love in that guy's shop. So again, I apologize. I didn't write down your name, but thank you very much for sharing those pictures with us. And we've got some more installs. Since we were talking about KS speakers tonight, Bill pulled up a bunch of great images of some KS installs. Ernie, can you go back to my laptop, please? So here's a Jeep. This is obviously on Facebook, and this is the gear that went into this Jeep. You'll see a couple of speaker sets. And I'll show you a little close-up what he did here. This is that 2 3/4 inch that we were looking at tonight that's coupled with the 6x9. And in the Jeep, you'll notice we're using that fancy bracket that Jacob was showing us. And so that bracket allows that 2 3/4 inch to work in just about any vehicle that requires a 2 3/4 or even a 3 inch. Like in the sound bar in some of the Jeeps, you can actually use our 4 inch and 2 3/4 inch. And then it looks like that's the factory speaker pod using our 6 3/4 inch. So that's a nice, clean, simple install that sounds fantastic. That's not our subwoofer, but hey, you gotta have great bass, right? Next up, this is some pretty good door prep here. It's good to talk about door prep once in a while because no matter how good your speaker is, if you don't prepare the door properly, you're not gonna get the performance that you expect out of it. So good door prep is nice to show. And of course, there's a lot of great videos on YouTube about proper door preparation.
Yeah. You don't really understand how big of a difference door prep makes until you have driven your car daily for however long, and then you get in and do the door prep, and you can hear the difference it makes, not just with your sound quality, but also the volume of your ride, or hearing road noise, things of that nature. It really makes a huge difference.
The first time I heard a set of MB Quart 6.5 inch speakers, this was, well, I'm going to just say it was a long time ago. And they were done in a shop in Colorado. And I got in this guy's truck and I listened, it was a Toyota pickup, and I listened to this system. I thought, man, that is fantastic. It's snappy, tight bass, nice deep roll off, no subwoofer. It was just a nice set of 6.5 inch MB Quart component system with properly prepared doors, and the output was unbelievable. And that's the first time I heard a properly prepared door. So true science right there. Next up, here's a pretty cool install. Looks like a Comp RT preloaded enclosure down in the wheel well.
What is that?
Excuse me.
It fits perfectly.
You know, I'm guessing a Subaru, perhaps.
Oh, it's a Honda S2000.
Oh, okay,
it
S2000.
says in the,
yeah, right
in the
there.
hashtags.
Okay, so yeah, that's a nice drop-in fit. And then here's it's our PXA 300.4. You'll notice it's just zip-tied right into this tiny little location. Nice, clean install. Although it looks like He's running way more power than that 300.4 needs, but you can never have too much power, right?
Oh yeah, never.
And then again, our 6 3/4 inch component system. Now you'll notice that he chose to mount these as a component because we've still got the phase plug screwed in here, so his tweeter's probably up in the A pillar.
Maybe we'll see if there's where he put the crossovers.
Now I can't tell. Is that the dash? I can't tell by looking at it, but
I can't. It almost looks like. Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell what that is.
Anyway, it's hidden away nicely, and it looks like it's protected from moisture, so that's a good thing. So that's a nice clean install on Honda S2000. This is a Jeep, and this thing is beautiful. Take a look at the work in this Jeep. There's our KM series, and this is, of course, looking at the back seat area. Look at these A pillars. Unbelievable.
And again, he's got looks like the 2 3/4 in there.
And the tweeter.
He's got the tweeter, yeah.
He's also got the 1 inch. So he's got a mid and tweet in that A pillar. Mobile Toys, beautiful install. Thank you, guys and girls. Just awesome install there. And then here's your door. Plenty of output. Lots and lots of output. Now notice he's got coaxials in the doors and mid and tweet in the A pillar. So this thing is designed to scream and still have some staging and imaging.
Mm-hmm. I like how they made the grills pink.
Yeah,
that's
nice.
That's kind of neat.
Nice touch, and then the LED backlighting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And the enclosure is see-through from the sides and the front. There's a close-up of the enclosure here. Beautiful enclosure. Again, those door panels, pink accents. Bunch of amps.
Wow.
Wait, that's not a Jeep. Is this the same install? Oh. I said it was a Jeep. I don't think that's a Jeep at all. Oh, maybe it's a... what's the pickup Jeep? Gladiator. And there's that beautiful enclosure. Comp RTs. It looks like 4 of them. I think there's 4 Comp RTs in there.
It looks like it if there's one in each of those sections.
Beautiful. Oh, wait a minute. It's not a Jeep. It's a Ford dually. Aaron, if you read the description, you'd see it's a Ford dually. Sorry. It is the first show of 2023. That's my one screw up for the year. So yeah, Ford dually F350, beautiful install.
I'm saving mine. You never know when you're going to need it.
No, I already burned mine the first show. Now this, Bill chose this because this is just a gorgeous vehicle. There's not a whole bunch of kicker love in here. I mean, it got a little bit right here in this beautiful door panel, but check out this vehicle, this build quality, velocity restorations. Look at that. That Bronco, just beautiful Bronco. So a little bit of kicker love in there, but just a gorgeous, clean Bronco all the way around.
I love the color. It's not too flashy. It's just, it's perfect.
Kind of like your grandpa might drive it, but in much better shape. So here, of course, we've got some Q-Class 8s, a nice box beneath the back seat. Look at that, all-terrain, nice enclosure. Nice close-up. I love a nice box. Oh, that shows that 8-inch driver inverted like that. Of course, you know, he installed it properly after this photo was taken, but what a beautiful driver. The 8-inch, because of the proportions of it, it just looks so massive with that motor structure on it. Let's see, a couple more. Here's a nice Comp RT in a Tundra behind the seat. Look at that beautiful finish on that. Better than factory. So clean.
I love the details. Some of the craftsmanship people put out is just
amazing.
Insane.
It's always nice when your install is like 10 times the cost of your equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course that's before he wrapped it. So that's just showing some of the craftsmanship once again. Looks like we got a question. What's that question? Can you throw that up real quick? Take a look at that. Frank, hello Frank, thanks for being here tonight. What do you recommend? I'm looking for a grill for my 12-inch L7Q class. What should I do for a grill? Oh, I'm going to let you take this one.
Man, I hate having to answer and saying we don't have anything, but what I've told people in the past is you would have to get some sort of like universal grill, or you would have to custom make one or have one custom made. As far as I am aware, nobody makes grills for those subs. Now, you can't use our our standard L7 grills because they won't clear the surround of the Q class under any sort of real playing situation. That surround is just going to rub on the underside of the grill, and eventually it'll rub or cut right through the surround, and we don't want that. So what I've suggested is making some sort of like custom mesh grill, or having somebody make you one, or possibly you can find a universal square subwoofer grill. But you just got to have the clearance to be able to get over that surround and the excursion of the woofer.
Sorry, Frank, that's the correct answer, but yeah, sorry, man. We've disappointed a couple of people with the lack of grills at this point. 25 hertz, do square subs take longer to manufacture, and does it cost more to do so? They take longer to manufacture. I'm going to take a guess at this and say, no, they don't take longer. The development process is a bit more challenging because of the uniqueness, specifically the corner of the subwoofer. Mm-hmm. That's where the magic happens, so to speak. And so to get massive excursion and control it and not shred the square corner, it does require more development time and more care. But in the big picture, does it cost more? I would say only because it's unique, but in the quantities that we manufacture them, I don't think that it's really a demonstrable difference in cost.
No, I mean, you've got the same basic parts there. And you really just have to develop the tooling to make the same basic parts. So I think it would cost maybe close to the same, and this is just spitballing, I don't know, but I think it would maybe cost close to the same to make a round sub. The only thing that might increase the cost in my mind is the cost of material, because you might have to have more metal for the basket, or more poly for the cone, or something of that nature,
Yeah, a little bit more. But actually, this brings up another good point. All of our subwoofers are tooled. They're designed by us, and we have custom tools. So what that means is you're never going to find a kicker basket on a brand XYZ subwoofer, because we design and build the tool that creates our custom subwoofers. So all of our stuff is customized. So does that cost more? Yes, because we're not using off-the-shelf parts. We're using kicker-specific parts. So yes, it does cost more. And it also slows down the development a little bit, because you have to design that tool, have that tool manufactured, and that does take time. So I hope that answers your question. That's a good question. Thank you for asking that. We've got just a couple more things. I want to show you a couple more pictures, just because, oh wait, one more question.
Yeah, let's
Sorry.
get Stu's question real quick.
Stu, the new PX amps being released first quarter. I think in our production meeting we said second quarter. No, or NPU, you weren't there, never mind.
Yeah, I didn't go.
We had a new product development meeting today, and I think it's going to be second quarter. Obviously, we've got one there, and yes, it's still working. It's been in there with 3 weeks now?
Yeah, 3 weeks. You can still see the little blue light is on in the fish tank, and I was telling Aaron, not only the 3 weeks it's been in the fish tank since we brought it on UnMasked, but I also tested it for a month and a half before that underwater.
So it was back in our other studio in just a bucket, right?
Yeah, just in a Tupperware container that would cover the top of the amplifier. It wasn't anything fancy, but it's coming up on its 3-month milestone here pretty soon. So, yeah. That's legit. That IP66, IP67 is legit. Stu, probably second quarter. So they're coming. They're coming. They're real. You can see it right there. So thank you for that question. Real quick, let's show these last couple of images, and then we will wrap things up and give away some cool stuff. So, Ernie, can you pull up my laptop again, please, sir? Here's a nice, clean install. This is pretty simple. I mean, we're talking about a Hyundai Elantra, so not an elaborate, expensive car. Pretty nice, good car, good solid car with a nice, clean install. And check out his amp rack. Real clean. Oh man, gets the job done. That looks awesome. Yeah, so really nice. So thank you for sharing that with us. Hopefully you're watching tonight, or you get to see the replay. That's a nice, clean install. All right, you can turn off my laptop, and a couple of upcoming events. An event that really is cool we want to talk about real quick is Knowledge Fest.
The first Knowledge Fest of 2023 is coming up in Vegas in February. Now, it is an industry event, so if you're a consumer but you're not in the industry, I apologize, you can't go to the event. It is specific for industry, but it's an educational event. Actually, Jacob and John will be there, and they're going to be teaching a couple of classes on kicker technology, some installation, integration things, some higher level stuff, but also they're going to be showing off a lot of the product and the new stuff as well. So that's a great show. If you're in the industry, please check it out in Vegas in February, Knowledge Fest. Get signed up soon because those hotels get expensive really fast. So check that out. In addition, we have some consumer-friendly events coming up. Ernie, can you go back to my laptop, please? So we've got the Arena Cross Championship Round 3 is Friday the 6th. That's this Friday. Budweiser Event Center. That's Loveland, Colorado. Any of my friends in Fort Collins, Loveland, Denver who are watching this, hopefully hopefully Barry, you're watching this. Check out the American Arena Cross in Loveland. That is a great event and a really nice venue. Then the 13th, the next weekend, Arena Cross Round 4 Championship, Findlay Toyota Center. Not sure where that is, but if you click on it, I'm sure you can find out more. So those are the big events coming up. And then the 15th, Eastbound Get Down Base Wars, Daytona Complex. So go check that out. You want to do some base wars. Even if you're not going to compete, just go to support the sport, check out the competitors, and learn some more about big bass. So those are some upcoming events. Prizes. Let's give away some stuff. Bill, you want to help us give away some stuff? So again, real quick, first place winner, you get to choose which speaker set you saw here tonight, which one you want to take home, have shipped to your home via FedEx or whoever we use now. Yeah. Second place, you get the second choice, and then third place, you get whatever is left. Of course, you also get to win the t-shirt, the koozies, and the tabers, or the noise canceling, the cushion C's. So, okay, so who, let's see, I guess we need to go backwards. We need to do the first winner, the grand prize winner first, right? Let's do the grand prize winner first, so they get to choose the speakers they want. So who is the grand prize winner, Bill? Waiting for a drum roll. Ernie B from Arizona. Ernie B. Woo, woo, woo. Ernie B, you get to choose which of those 3 systems you want. So please let us know. Wait, how are we going to... Is he going to tell us right now? Ernie, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, we've been talking about that back here.
Oh, okay. So I guess we got to figure that out, huh? Sorry, this is live. We didn't plan this, as you can tell. So... Oh, I'm not going to be back on at all this year, am I? So it'll be you and John.
Yeah, keep giving stuff away like that, man. We won't have any props left.
Okay, so who's the next winner? Who is the next winner? Number 2, KH from North Carolina. KH, you're number 2 winner, so you get the second choice of the speaker systems. And of course, you also get the Tabor headphones, you get a Kicker UnMasked t-shirt, and 2 koozies for the adult beverage of your choice. And the third winner is number 3, Jeff G from Connecticut. Jeff G, you are the third winner, so you get the third set of KS speakers, whichever one is left. And of course, you also get the EB400s, the t-shirt, and 2 koozies for the adult beverage of your choice. So there's your 3 winners. You guys get to figure out who gets what. Woohoo! I'm sorry. This is just so much fun to get kicked off the show in the first night of the year. So that's our winners. After tonight, of course, next week you can do Kicking It with Andy. He'll be on his show, and he'll be talking all things kicker. And I think he's giving away some stuff, too. Andy, I haven't talked to you this year yet, except for via text, and thank you very much for that really nice Christmas card. Hopefully you'll have a great show next Tuesday, since you'll be on and we'll be off. And check out Kicker Club on Facebook. If you're not yet a member, please join up. That's where we have a lot of fun. You can keep up with all things kicker and chat with Andy. And on the next UnMasked show, which is in 2 weeks, I'm not going to tell you what's on that show because I didn't write it down. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back. And on that note, any closing thoughts, Jacob?
No, sir.
No? All right. Thanks for being here, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate it. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night.